You know that is 100% the most accurate statement I've seen. Shout out to Timely Billy Gameplays.
What's up, Proxies? I'm Foxhole, and welcome to another video on the channel. Hope you enjoy. Oh boy, it's that time of the month, and I'm not talking about your girlfriend's time of the month. It is Gacha PvP Day. Holy moly. Gacha revenue has just dropped today, and I just got off of work, and I want to sit here and I want to make a video about it because here comes the problem with Gacha revenue, and it isn't the site itself. It is going to be the personalities, the influencers, the content creators that drive around this, that a good bit of them do not decipher this information properly or teach you how to properly look at this information, and instead rather go ahead and remark that there's misinformation, that there's certain games here or whatever that's going EOS, whatever the case is. So welcome to the video, and hopefully you proxies are having a great day. Let's break down the very first part of Gacha revenue for your lesson plan of the day. Number one, there is a statement that is straight at the top up here that will prove and showcase that this website is not clearly a scam, because the figures shown here are rough market estimates sourced directly from Sensor Tower. Now, if you're not sure what Sensor Tower is, it is a website right here that you can go yourself log into, and you can go search up your favorite game. So like, for example, Zenless Zone Zero. And walla bing, walla boom, it's going to show you that Zenless Zone Zero made 17 million pretty much right here. Or excuse me, 10K, 7K, 200K, 200K. It's going to show you the estimates right here. 7 million, 5 million, 40K, 20K. I'm sorry, I was reading the download. It was right at the bottom. So it's going to show you pretty much an estimate of what that game is. It is not clear, you know, it's not to the dollar sign, but we have some other information that we are going to present later on. But here, first and foremost, understand that we're going to read this before people freak out, because a lot of people miss this information. They like to claim that certain people have agendas when they clearly don't. But the revenue figures shown in here include the mobile platforms only. Combined revenue across these regions, revenue generated by the PC and console versions where applicable, is not included. Data here is directly sourced from Sensor Tower with the exception of CN Android estimates, which is determined by using a multiplier of CN iOS revenue. This multiplier is set to a 1.75 multiplier by default, but you can manually adjust it. In this very first paragraph, I would like to let you guys know that according to this, in case you missed it and you're too obsessed with the numbers, that straight up PC and console versions are not in any which way, shape, form part of these calculations, because we can't get that information. So for people out there who play Gacha games and you use a top-up website, kind of like Loot Bar, LD Player, if you use Epic Games, you use Steam, you use the actual, you know, Gacha Games application directly to make your purchases, or if you just go onto a VPN site and stuff like this, this right here is not going to go ahead and calculate those totals into this revenue. This is just going to calculate those that use a mobile platform and spend money on either iOS or the Android platform using Google Play Store or the Apple Store. Because the reason being is that every time you make a purchase through Apple or you make a purchase through Google, it sends an API back to a lot of these different websites, whether it's Sensor Tower, whether it is DataFox or Fox Data, excuse me, or whether it's going to be AppMagic, Data AI, and so forth, that's going to say, hey, look, we processed this much in transactions estimatedly, and those estimates actually get cleared up by the 15th of the month. So like this is going to say right here in the next paragraph or next lines, Sensor Tower may revise or adjust their estimates through the month, which at this time the website may also update. Screenshots or external shares of the data will be found, may become outdated as the estimates are refined, because AI computers do make mistakes, and there is people who manually work for Sensor Tower and all these places that will go back and revise and adjust these estimates, because there's going to be some times where data may be messed up. For example, let's just say someone decided that I want to do a refund on the Gacha game because I spent too much money on it, or they didn't let's just say like this, they didn't like Genshin Impact, so they went ahead, they put $100 in it, they didn't get their pull, so they refund $100 with their bank. Well, Sensor Tower and all of them is going to get a revised statement from Apple, or it's going to get a revised statement from Android, and it's going to go ahead and remove that from the estimate. That's basically what ends up happening, and then they cut that off by the 15th. So any adjustments is going to happen by mid part of the next month. So for this month, since today is August 1st, by August 15th, we will actually know where those estimates are going to be locked down. Understandable? Great. So let's go ahead and let's get to the part where we're going to review our games. Alrighty, so before we change anything on the website for Gacha revenue, let's take a look at what Gacha revenue is saying with its 1.75 multiplier. Now, the 1.75 multiplier is going to be across all Gacha games. Not one game in particular is going to get it more than the other. Every single game is going to get the same exact treatment. So if a apple is $3 and an orange is $5 and you add $1 on top of it, it doesn't change the place in the leaderboard. So I will show that in an example here in a minute. But with the 1.75 multiplier, we can see Honkai Star Rail is at 91 million. We can see Genshin Impact's at 38 million. We can see Zenless Zone Zero at 21 million and Weathering Waves at 16 million. Now, you can go further down on the list yourself, but these are the top big four games that everybody's always talking about. So we're only going to cover these top four. Now, in case you are a person that likes to go ahead and quote unquote say this website's lying by omission and like to be the biggest jester there is and say fake numbers, fake data and everything, well, you can come here, you can put a 0 right here, and boom, there is your now estimates without the quote unquote fake numbers, the 1.75 multiplier, and you can see how badly the games actually did without the 1.75 multiplier. So that $91 million that Honkai Star Rail had, well, that dropped down to what? 65 million, which is still pretty good. Genshin Impact, I mean, the original estimate went all the way down to what? 23 million. Zenless Zone Zero went down to 15, and Weathering Waves went down to 12.5 million compared to the last month's revenue sources. So this right here, when you click on this, it will show you every single spot. The estimates is what we're killing off because there is two other ways that people do get their purchases in, and these two other applications, which is with iOS. You can click on it and it's going to take you straight to the App Store, which is going to show you that here's another version of the Chinese application that is with another company. Same thing for this one, which is, I don't know why there's two separate applications. Maybe someone in the comment section below can tell me, but it's just to show you that you can click on this and you can see for yourself that this actual application does exist. Now, there's been some different talks and different things about, like, Gateoo in particular about, he is the person that is influencing changes to things like Weathering Waves and trying to, ruin the reputation of Kuro Games and stuff through this website. Well, we'll talk about that towards the end of the video because I want to play a clip and I want to explain a couple of things from that point of view. Now, we're going to go ahead and we're going to move on and we're going to go take a look at another source of information. And with that source of information, we're going to discuss pretty much what we have data-wise. Alrighty, so welcome to Fox Data, a source website that is like Sensor Tower that we have purchased into to go ahead and provide you with the information for all copies of these Gacha games. Like I said before, we're going to talk about the top four that we all talk about, which is Honkai, Genshin, Zenless, and Weathering Waves. If there is going to be in the future where you want me to add more Gacha games onto this list, because we can do this once a month, please let me know in the comment section below or come join the Discord. And in the Discord server, we have a section that is for this. Just put in your suggestion of what Gacha game you would like to see. Now, this is a website that we are going to go ahead and we're going to calculate from July 1st to July 30th. Even though there is 31 days in July, the reason why July 31st is not calculated right now is because these calculations are always a day late. So for July 31st, we will get those totals coming on August 2nd. Please understand that. data is always going to be derived in this regards to where it's always going to be a day or so late. Now, we don't need to know any of the metadata, application loss, or in-application events right now. If y'all want to see something like that, come hit me up on the live stream when we're talking about this kind of stuff, and I will get you that analytic data. But we're looking at Zenless Zone 0 right here. And as you can see with Zenless Zone 0, we got a bunch of different numbers, and everybody, you probably going to be confused. But I can tell you right now, the first three right here, you're not going to be too much worried about, because this is just telling you an average. Like, what is the average daily revenue the game receives? What's the highest daily revenue it's received? And what is the medium revenue it's received pretty much across the board? You can see it through the chart right here. You can go through it, and you can compare the data right here if you would want. We can do that more thorough in a future video or in a future live stream. The numbers that we're going to be worried about is going to be the revenue numbers themselves, which is the following numbers right here. And as you can see that with the global version of Zenless Zone 0 for Android, it was at $10,362,334. For iOS, it was $5,023,551. For China, for both its applications here for iOS, we have 1.5,377,228. And then the other one is $350,000 and some change. Okay, so basically we have right here, if you add all this up together, we get a total estimate revenue of $17,274,179 estimated. Now compare that to Gacha revenues estimate of $15,660,000, if I'm not mistaken. Verifying right here, correct. You can see that we did according to the data here, because this is more of an accurate statement of what is being done from Fox data, that they relatively put their estimates a little bit higher. Now, we could actually go through each party's applications, and I will show you really quickly as a complete little example, since we're done with this, that I can go ahead and click on the application itself. Give it a second. We can go ahead, we can click on estimated revenue, global, do like the last 30 days, and you will see that right here we can get it by region. There is a way of doing this really quickly. Give me a second here. By country, you can see from you could pick the country of your choice, United States, go through each one of these if you really wanted to, and you will see that we can calculate each daily data per country. So we could tell you that in the United States of America on July 13th, 2025, it only made $10,000 that day in the United States of America. That's how far this data goes. And there's a reason why, like, there is some places right now that is not totaling up right now about what July 31st is, because they are still collecting data from other countries. So we have to wait on to get the final date, but some are reporting in, and you can see roughly date and times of when spikes have happened for per country. Okay. This is just to give you an idea, basically, in the last 90 days, 30 days, 7 days, you can see for yourself where, in certain countries, where the money's at. So what we're going to do now is we're going to get on to our next game. All right, let's talk about our beloved, everyone's beloved hate and love relationship, Genshin Impact. Now, when it comes down to Genshin Impact, we have the following numbers to go ahead and go for with you. Starting off with iOS Global, $5,281,351. The Chinese version of the game, in also iOS, at $5,017,726. The global version with Android being at $4,938,976. And another application that is used with Genshin Impact at $332,000.69. So altogether, when we take a look at this revenue in general, Gacha revenue was saying that this was at $23,690,000, whereas Fox data revenue says that without the 1.75 multiplier and everything else, that it was at $15,570,122, with an estimated download of 1,059,727 application downloads. Moving on to our next game. With the last 30 days calculated into this from July 1st to July 30th, we are going to now go ahead and take a look at Honkai Star Rail, starting off with the Chinese version of the game on iOS at 1,083,678. We have Honkai Star Rail Global on iOS at 83,077. We have it at for the global on Android at $11,929,406. And finally, for the other Chinese application that they have for iOS, it is at $14,697,674. Now, compared that to Gacha revenue, which was at $65,200,000 without the 1.75 multiplier, Fox Data revenue is estimating that it is actually $61,793,835. With a total estimated download of the application being at 2,309,228 application downloads. Now, finally, going into our last of the top big four, Weather and Waves, we can see that with Weather and Waves that we have for the iOS global version, $4,369,078. We see that for the Chinese version right here, $1,326,891. Global on Android at $8,412,060. And the other application that is used for Weather and Waves, which is also on iOS, is at $34,313. Gacha Revenue's estimated value on this, estimated revenue was at $12.5 million for without the 1.75 multiplier, and Fox Data revenue has estimated to be at $14,142,342. Pretty big difference by 2 million. And there was an estimated download of 1,059,727 application downloads. If you would like to get further details, again, like I said before, on any other applications, or if you would like for us to go ahead and do a live stream on this and go through all this data one by one and get more information, let me know and we can totally do that. So let's go ahead and get into pretty much the next part of the talks of this video, which is more of the educational value that I would like to present to you, that is the drama that is related with Gacha revenue. Alrighty, let's get on to that. All right, so we're at the part of the video now that we have talked about all the numbers and everything else that we wanted to talk about with Gacha revenue and with Fox Data as two particular places to use for information to basically determine the trend values of what's going on with games, basically where players are spending their money at on the mobile devices. Now, again, when it comes down to it, there has been some influencers out there that have been making remarks that this is all fake data, that this does not capture everything, different takes all over the board. And let's clear this up, and let's clear this up very well. We've stated this before, but when it comes down to the data, these sites that we are using, Gacha Revenue, Sensor Tower, which is basically what Gacha Revenue is already using, Fox Data, different other source websites, they are only estimating the mobile data because that's the only data that is showcasing itself right now. So why? It's because, like I stated earlier in the video, you have it to where Google and Apple are basically making this information public of what they are pushing as a transaction. Think of, you know, Walmart and Target, and Google is Target, Walmart is iOS, and what they're doing is that Walmart and them are reporting how many times someone buys this barbecue grill. They both sell it, they both release it. But then there's another store that comes out, which is like Academy Outdoor Sports Goods or Dick's Sporting Goods, that sells the same exact barbecue grill, but does not report on how many people are buying it through their store to the public. Only Walmart, Target is. So the only way we can basically rely on any kind of information is what is provided to us. Now, if you want to talk about things like, you know, player retention and such and Weather and Waves, you'll hear people go ahead and talk about like Twitch numbers. Oh, well, you know, certain games right here, they don't have high viewership and stuff like this. So it must be that the game's bad and everything else, even though at the same point in time, it also determines what people are more interested in, you know, streaming to their audience. Okay, what's more retention wise? It shows, if anything, that, you know, Weather and Waves, for example, versus Zenless Zone Zero on Twitch reports with Twitch Tracker, is that Zenless Zone Zero is more of a niche community that keeps to itself, where Weather and Waves is a little bit more spread out. It's all over the place. But a good tracker that I wish that we would have for Zenless Zone Zero, Genshin Impact, as well as Honkai Star Rail, that Weather and Waves does have right now, is Steam charts. And as you can see with the Steam charts, that back in June, Weather and Waves was growing pretty well. Let me go ahead and maximize this so that we can see it a little bit better on the video. We had a peak of 32,000 players. It had gained an extra 2,000 players. It went up basically 19%. And then in the month of July, it has dropped drastically with a minus of 3,345 players. That is basically a negative 26%. And right now, currently, as of right now, for the last 30 days, it's a negative 7.7 because we're starting a new month. And you can see that right now, the retention span for Steam players is not quite high as it used to be. So this is data that we could also utilize to go ahead and take shape to say, hey, look, it looks like right now there may be a little bit lack of interest in the 2.5 update. If we really want to take a look at that, we could take a look at like the last 7 days with pretty much, you know, 2.4 being dropped out. But actually, we need to do the month, because right here you can see we had 700 players as when the game was updated. It had a little bit of a spike for a day, and it just stayed pretty much on average with 14,000 and just slowly declining all the way down. 2.5, from what I know of with Weather and Waves, was not that big of a patch. It was a good patch, but not much content came with it to where it would keep the interest of a lot of people. So we're waiting for the next update. Now, what drama actually stirs up from the new Gacha revenue website? Well, there's going to be some influencers out there that's going to remark about a certain man named Gateoo, and I want to talk about this because there's a clip that has ran around to which a lot of people are going to say, because the man, quote unquote, is a racist and stuff like this, which I don't think he is. I'm going to side with Gateoo on this day. He blurred out some stupid things, but otherwise, the man is just a man. You know, we all make mistakes. We all say things before we think. And again, they're going to use a clip in particular to try to go ahead and discredit this website because, oh, he has influence over Gacha revenue numbers because he made it to where they lost $1 million. Well, let's go listen to the clip right here on Twitch.
On top
3 months ago.
Genshin. Hey, yo. Muma with the W. What happened? What is this? Where's the agenda maintaining? Did you give Muma some secret modifiers? Secret additional numbers?
Now, what I want to make remark is that Gateoo is not a fan of Weather and Waves. Okay? He's not a fan of the community particularly. All right? But at the same point in time, you're going to see something that's going to happen here, which a lot of people are going to basically reverse Uno card and say that he has the agenda. Because right here, you know, what kind of agenda does Weather and Waves have? You know, he's being a little bit, just like any other Gacha content creator, he's being a little bit much of a rage baiter and he's poking the bear.
What is this? 4747. No. Bro got paid by Kudogs. What is this? It defeated Genshin, boys. Defeated ZZZ. This is without the... Wait, hold on. Let me check Sensor Tower. Didn't we look at Sensor Tower? There is agenda. No way. Uh, four and six.
Right here, before we've let this clip go in, please make note that Sensor Tower, where Gacha Revenue is pulling its information from, is saying that right now for Android, it's at $4 million, and iOS globally is at 6 million. Okay, I know it's hard to see in the video and everything, but it's 4 and it's 6 million in the video. What I'll do for you guys here who is watching, if you are still watching this video at this point in time, please leave, exclamation. Actually, no, put in hashtag Foxhole information. So that way you guys know. That way I know y'all still here and y'all still watching this. So let's go ahead and make sure we have that. But let me zoom in on this by using snippet tool. And here you should be able to see a little bit better by me doing this, even though it's going to be a little blurry. That's a 4 and that is a 6 million. Right? You see that? 4 for the top, 6 at the bottom. Now let's let the clip finish playing.
Right now. And why is this 7 then? See, there's why is there extra 1 mil on the website? Huh? Why is there an extra 1 mil? What did you cook? Why did you add 1 mil to Wuthering Waves? You're actually pushing Wua agenda? What is this? And then CN. CN is 4 and 3. No? Oh no, CN is 3. iOS is 3. This is 4 over here. What did you do? Why did you add 1 mil to iOS on both sides?
All right, I think that is far enough to go in on that clip because it is the entire live stream. And if you all want to go ahead and see it yourselves, I'll put a link directly to this entire live stream 3 months ago for y'all to see. We're at the 1 hour 24 minute mark in this video as of right now. So that way you can go watch and you can go get your own information. While Gateoo is pretty much the person that is going to be, a little bit much procking the bear, he is 100% correct, because if the data is coming from Sensor Tower as such right here, it's coming from this website that we're pulling the data and we're putting here, it needs to match the data. He did not go out of his way to go ahead and just attack Wuthering Waves by saying, oh, well, wait a minute. Why is it a 7 here when it's supposed to be a 6? Why is it a 5 million, whatever right here when it's actually 4? What he was doing was correcting the information. But you're going to have some influencers out there just because they just don't like him that's going to use it as a way of discrediting the website and how it obtains its information. This is something that I've fought back before last year on with Gacha Revenue when Numberlocks was the person that was running the website, and he got basically called a Hoyo shill because he was doing the same thing. He was taking the Sensor Tower data, putting it up right here, so that way we have a historical record to match the trends, so that way we can look at the trend data. So with this being done, it's the same example that I gave about Tuhu. Whether or not the man made a mistake, regardless of what the past issues and everything else is, we cannot take away from the message itself whether or not it's right or wrong. Okay? Yeah. Looking at this is something I have to say. Back then, he made the correct assessment. He's like, this is wrong. We need to have the data changed. Well, apparently it also messed up the website at that same point in time, to which some data for Weather and Waves, which I'll show you, ended up getting locked out for those 2 months at 15,000 or whatever, which this is something that we cannot ever recover from Sensor Tower. So it is what it is. But future-wise going, I would hope to God that the person who is running this website would make sure and verify data from now and on. Now, maybe they manually were uploading it. Maybe the guy thought, you know, it was 7 million, not 6 million. Maybe he misread some things. But in general, that is the issue that happened there. And someone like Gateoo, which is a person that, quote unquote, their reputation is damaged in the community because of certain content creators, just because they don't like one another, we're going to go ahead and we're going to dismiss, we're going to use it as a weapon to say that this information is completely wrong in that regards, instead of you yourself, me, myself, or even these content creators to go do research on our own to go actually verify this data. I pretty much, like I said, I am showing you that we bought into a website, which is Fox Data, which gives us a little bit more insight on these gacha games in general. And I want to make sure that if we're going to do gacha PvP monthly, that we look at this. Now, we're going to get to the end of this video here, and there's a couple more things I would like to say. So let's go ahead and let's wrap this video up real quick. All right, to finish this off, once and for all, guys, sorry for the long ass video. I do apologize, but I felt like this was a video that needed to get done. As when it comes down to it, all this has been proving to us in a sense. First and foremost, that 1.75 multiplier that is added, if you can see, look, Weather and Waves gains, get Zenless Zone Zero gains, Genshin Impact gains, Honkai Star Rail gains. It doesn't change the spot on the leaderboard for these games. It doesn't make Weather and Waves more or less than Genshin Impact is, because we're applying the same exact property value on each and every one of these gacha games. So when someone's going to tell you that this is because it's fake numbers, they're not, no. That's not how it works. It's a guesstimate. It's a educated guess to determine, because there is no reported data for, and I can show you too, like on this, like you go ahead, we can click, you know, let's go to the Japanese version here for Zenless Zone Zero. And I can show you real quick. I can't click on anything related to Android because it does not exist. It's not being reported. Only iOS is being reported. Even Fox Data has this issue. So why that's happening, I'm not sure, because I heard something to the fact that, you know, to a regards that Android doesn't really exist in China. They have to do alternative ways to make it work. So whether or not that's true or false, I don't know. That's why what we're going to do on this channel is that when we come into these monthly reports, we're not going to worry about the 1.75 multiplier. We're not going to include it in our calculations. As you saw earlier, we're just going to do base values that come from these websites. What the website says with no multiplier. So that way, these are the most accurate numbers you can get your hands on. Otherwise than that, guys, just remember that this does not determine whether or not a game is good, whether a game is bad. This just determines whether or not people are spending money on the mobile platform and which games they're spending money mostly for. In this case, this month, we can already assume, we already know with the updates for Honkai Star Rail, majority of players would spend more money in Honkai Star Rail than they did in Genshin, than they did in Zenless Zone Zero, or even in Weather and Waves. When it comes down to Weather and Waves and Zenless Zone Zero, there was a lot of doom posting that was going around for Lupa. There was a lot of people that was upset with the fact that, you know, it feels like you need to have a limited team. You need to have a limited 5-star in order to make like Forlova and everything work. So there's other issues that could be warranted for the mobile side, especially when we look at, and we've done this on the streams a couple of times, when we look at reviews of Weather and Waves, Zenless Zone Zero and everything, that there's optimization issues, which is also causing problems to where people don't want to spend money on the mobile platforms. So take this information with a grain of salt. Take it however you want. I'm going to leave that with you guys. But thank you for taking the time to watch a video if you made it all the way this far. Hopefully this was informational. Hopefully this helped you to understand more about gacha revenue and how all this is calculated. If it did not, or are you still kind of confused, come check me out on the live streams when we're live streaming. Typically we stream after 8 p.m. Central Time Zone every single night pretty much, unless otherwise I am really screwed up and I'm really tired and I really want to go to sleep. We're typically streaming till like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, and then I normally bitch because I got to get to work in the next day. But since it's the weekend, we're going to be having some fun. So I'll see you guys later. You have a good one. Take it easy, and I will chat back with you later. Adios.